Hello, welcome back to another Walmart Wednesday show with Heather and I. And this week we have a lot of exciting stuff. Some good, a little bit of bad, but the bad isn't too bad. And we're going to show you what not to do so this does not happen to you. Today's show, we're going to be going over my ungating that I started over a month ago that I shared on the show, the updates on that. We're going to go over a Walmart deactivation, what caused it, and how to prevent it. And then Heather is going to be doing some live online arbitrage sourcing and talking about Sourcing Camp, right? That's the name, Sourcing Camp?
Yeah, a little bit about that, and also just talk about some of the Pioneer Bundle software that I've been
Oh,
playing.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the Pioneer Bundle will definitely be part of the online sourcing. We just touched upon that last week. So I will start with, I should have had my screenshots to share with everybody, but to recap, if you didn't watch the show, I was trying to get ungated in toys, and I hadn't ever tried to get ungated in Walmart for anything. So I attempted to do 3 different methods to see which one would work and to test 3 different methods to see, well, they all work. So what I did is I tried to get ungated in Lego. I went to Lego's website and I bought 10 Lego items that were on Walmart. And so my invoice essentially would be from Lego. The second approach I did is I bought one single Pokemon toy to get ungated in Pokemon. I bought it from Amazon, and Amazon was the seller. My third item I tried to get ungated in is Squishmallow, the plush. And I bought Squishmallow from an authorized vendor that I have used many times for ungating on Amazon with myself and my clients. And I bought 10 units. So my units varied. And it took 1 month for Walmart to even acknowledge me making a case to be able to add those items. It took them 1 month to get back to me. So they are very, very slow to reply. And I want to say that right before they got back to me, I kind of gave them a nudge saying, I opened up this case a month ago and I still have not heard any updates on the matter of me ungating. And I want to say a week after I gave them that nudge, I got an email back. And the email back wanted to know, it was like a silly questionnaire, and it was the same questionnaire on all of them. I don't even remember all of the questions, and I went ahead and answered them. I want to say they asked me, what other categories I planned on selling that name brand in. It was just some random questions. So I answered those messages. The following day, I got my approval on Lego. They said, congratulations, you're approved to sell Lego. On that same day, I got a result back on the Pokemon and they denied it. So was it because I bought it from Amazon as the seller, or was it because I only bought 1 unit and not 5 or 10? And on the Squishmallow, I am still waiting. And so at this point, it has been approximately 7 weeks or 6 weeks. I think since I did the ungating of these items. So that just goes to show you how slow they are. So if there are brands that you want ungated in toys, in this case, especially for Q4, I would recommend starting that process now because it could take till the end of summer to get a yes on those. Now, toys is the only thing I've tried to get ungated in so far, and I will try other categories next. I just wanted to test the types of invoices to see what avenue I take going down in the future. And that's what I wanted to share about that.
Yeah, it took about 6 weeks for my last round, and I had 3 things that I ungated. 2 were toys, and 1 was outside of toys, and I got approved on all of those. And I didn't either use Amazon as a supplier or.
Did you ever try to use Amazon?
I haven't, but
Okay.
I've heard it works. But I just haven't tried it. But yeah, and those times are coming down. It was over 2 months in Q4 last year.
And so even your non-toy item took a long time.
Yeah, they all took the same amount of time. I submitted them at the same time, and I got all of the emails.
Now, did you use authorized suppliers, or did you use big box stores like a Target online order?
I used a Walmart retail receipt for one. I used online orders. The other toys, Disney, I might have used the Disney store. Lego, I used whatever I had in Q4 that I had bought for Amazon. So I think it was just some, whatever online vendor I had used at that time. I
Yeah.
don't recall using a
It's hard
Target.
to remember when it takes so long for them to approve you. It's like, what did I use?
I just
But
went
because I was
through.
doing mine as a case study, I made sure I knew exactly what I did.
Yeah, I wasn't that regimented about it. I'm like, okay, what receipts do I have? I'm going to go get
Yeah.
those and use them. That's
Yeah.
that's the deep thought I put into it. But I do look for, like, I've got a couple I need to submit now, and I'm looking for like Walmart clearance, either OA or in store. But if you can find something really cheap for the brand you want to ungate, they seem to like their own receipts, and so just look for those cheap opportunities to ungate.
I forgot to post that we were live in the Facebook group. I've got to get better about remembering to do that. I want to share, and maybe after I share this when you're talking, I will go post this in Facebook in case those in our group would like to join and watch. I wanted to share that. I think I can share this screenshot. Okay. I'm going to share my screen because our next topic is going to be about getting your Walmart account suspended. Now, Walmart, you can get suspended just like Amazon or eBay, and for various reasons. But this reason just seemed awfully cryptic. So I'm going to show you what the deactivation notice looked like. And you see here, it doesn't even address the person. So you might think it's spam at first. And it just says, hello, we're reaching out to inform you that your account has been suspended. Our records show that you have fulfillment centers that have been active fewer than 5 days a week for 30 days or more. If you wish to reactivate your account, please update your fulfillment centers to comply with this policy. And then once updated, follow these steps here to appeal your suspension. And when I read this, now this was not my account, but when I read this, I thought, what fulfillment centers? What does this mean? Is this WFS fulfillment centers? Is it because I haven't been shipping in shipments? Is it because I'm not logging into the back end of my account? Like, what does this mean? It's very cryptic. It is not detailed whatsoever. And so if you have ever gotten this, or if you do get this in the future, we have figured out what this is. So that is for having gone on what we would all consider going on vacation mode. So when you've traveled and you've gone on vacation, and you can put your Amazon store on vacation, on eBay, you can set a vacation setting to go on vacation. But Walmart doesn't really give us this vacation setting, if you will. So Heather, I'm going to grab the link so I can post it in Facebook. Can you elaborate on this a little bit more while I do that?
Yeah, Walmart, like Tina said, there is no vacation mode where you can just click off your merchant fulfilled. You've only got so many days in a calendar year that Walmart allows you to not be in operation. And they're really looking for, they want you to act like a large business that has employees and is always open on your working schedule. So basically, what you should do is, if you're getting ready to go on vacation, you want to go into your merchant fulfilled inventory and download a spreadsheet of all of that inventory and those quantities that you have before you go on vacation. Then what you have to do is go in and zero out all of your merchant fulfilled inventory so you don't have anything available to sell while you're gone. Then you can, go on vacation for a week, or, if you have something going on in your life, you can do that. But you want to leave in your shipping settings in Walmart, where you can set your operating schedule. You want to leave that fulfillment center operational so that you show to Walmart that you are in business during that working time. Then when you get back, then you can upload that spreadsheet again and restore your inventory, or put it back in manually. So, but yeah, they don't like shutting down that merchant fulfillment center.
And that's good to know, because summer is going to be coming up. and several of us are probably going to have vacations. And this is very good for you to know. Now, if it was for 3 days or a week and you could have shut down your store in the manner in which this person did, and you will have been fine because it wasn't a longer period of time. But if it is for a longer period of time, maybe you've taken a cruise somewhere. Some people retire and they celebrate, take this month trip away to Egypt or something. So yeah, beware of this. So just clear out that inventory to 0. All right. So Heather, we were going to talk about the new Pioneer Bundle and do some online sourcing, but we were also going to be talking about a sourcing camp coming up. So do you have a preference in which you'd like to discuss first?
I think before we get into sourcing, I kind of wanted to share in the Pioneer Bundle, there is Inventory Falcon. I've really been working with that a lot the last couple of weeks. I've probably done working on a batch today. It's probably my 5th or 6th batch that I've done in Inventory Falcon. So for those of you that aren't aware of what it is, Inventory Falcon is what the Martyr team has developed for the Walmart platform. That's kind of like Inventory Lab or ScanPower is for Amazon. So you can build your shipments in the software and ship that batch directly from that software. So there's a number of things that I really, really, really like about it. And I don't think that I think the Pioneer Bundle might be closed, but you may want to take a look at Inventory Falcon. If you're frustrated with the time it takes to convert items from merchant fulfilled to WFS, if you feel like that process takes too much time and there's too many errors, I would urge you to consider doing a trial on Inventory Falcon. Several things. So if you're using, Martyr however you're building a buy list, if you're using Martyr and building a buy list as your sourcing, either online or in store, that buy list you can just directly import into Inventory Falcon, and then your buy list is just there, all your costs and your items and your sources, etc. Then you just click through them one by one, and then there may be a few other things that you need to, fill in. You may need to fill in your selling price, and you may need to you want to double check the weights and dimensions and things like that. It's going to pull in as many weights and dimensions as it can. So you don't have to put those in for every item like you do when you're doing it manually. It pulls in things. If it knows the MSDS, it'll pull it in. If it doesn't, there's a link you can click and you can select from different choices for MSDSs instead of going out on the internet, finding that MSDS, copying and pasting that URL and putting it back in. So all of that's been really great. Same thing like with the pictures of ingredient lists and those kind of things that you need. With one click, a lot of times you can find that picture URL that you need and just click on it and it's there. And the great thing is once you say, I want to add this item, it not only creates the listing, but it also converts it automatically to WFS. So you build this batch of items that are already WFS converted, and it's a lot easier to do that conversion. And then if there are errors, you will get it'll turn green if it's good. And then if it's not, you'll get like a little red arrow or, another symbol. And then you can see what's wrong with that. But it's a tremendous time saver. I'm really excited about it. Also too, like Tina, I know you struggle with printing the labels.
Yes. And I haven't tried a shipment yet. So I got the Pioneer Bundle. I will be doing my first Walmart shipment using the software. So I haven't done it yet in the software. So I have had people, in a private group talk about there is some frustration with creating their shipments in there. It's not recognizing an item ID, but yet in Walmart, doing it through Walmart, it is recognized. So have you had any glitches yet yourself with using it?
I had one item this week that I had glitches with. I was talking with a group of Walmart people last night, and whether it's in Inventory Falcon or outside of Inventory Falcon, people have been getting that same glitch.
Okay.
So I don't know that it's an Inventory Falcon issue.
Okay.
I think it's a Walmart issue because there's a number of people that I know that are having a lot of issues with glitches when they're trying to convert items this week.
Okay.
even outside of inventory
Whether
Falcon.
you're doing it in Falcon or Walmart.
Right.
Okay.
And I've had one, and
And yeah, since I can't talk about it because I haven't tried it yet, I will definitely be able to elaborate on it a lot more by our next
yeah.
Wednesday show, since I've been using their tools more and more since I got the bundle.
Right. Yeah, the labels are really easy. Like the first time I went to print that G10 label for something that I needed it for, like it printed correctly the first time. It was in the right orientation.
It'll be worth it for that alone, because printing out the labels, these little, like this is the size I use. Printing out these bad boys for Walmart through Walmart is impossible for me.
And it's super easy. They've also added the ability you can put your expiration date on those labels. So if you have grocery products with expiration, so it's super great. And then today, my new favorite thing. So every time I do a batch, there's a new favorite thing for me. Like it took me a while to get over how excited I was about the SDS sheets being there and the picture URLs being there for the ingredients list and stuff. Today, my new favorite thing is I added something to my batch that I had merchant fulfilled. And a pop-up window came up and it says, you have inventory listed merchant fulfilled. Do you want us to zero this out for you? And I said, why, yes, I do. Click.
Very good. And you have warned me about making sure that when you convert something to WFS, to zero out the merchant fulfilled quantity, because what will happen once it sells out WFS, it reverts to your merchant fulfilled and those orders will come through. Well, guess who made that mistake? And this week had 4 orders I had to cancel because I didn't have them, because I had sent them in. And I think that's the one and only time I actually overlooked it. And that did happen to me. So that will be also huge, because look, sometimes when we're doing these shipments, we're in a hurry. We're trying to do it in a window of time. Especially when we sell on multiple platforms, right? You're trying to crank out these shipments, and with our best efforts, we still make mistakes sometimes.
Yeah, and I'm not selling very much merchant fulfilled at all anymore. I'm mostly WFS, so I really have to remember. So that'll be really nice to automate that, zeroing out the inventory in the process.
I'm trying to go like you, to where I'm almost all just WFS. I have very little merchant fulfilled at this point. As I was starting to send in more and more, I've been like you, weaning it out. I will probably treat Walmart the way that I did Amazon, where what I merchant fulfilled is off-season items. Like right now, maybe I have Christmas stuff left over, so I will merchant fulfill that on Walmart, but I'm not going to send in Christmas wreaths, right? So because these things will sell year round, they're just not going to sell with the same volume that they do during that holiday or that season.
Yeah, I've got some pumpkin spice candles that are sitting there merchant fulfilled because
exactly.
So ton of great features with Inventory Falcon. It's really nice to get past just the tediousness. The batteries are a lot easier. I've only done 1 or 2 battery items, but you don't have to put in all of those little, the weights and the watts and the blah, blah, blah with the battery.
And you don't have to copy and paste the UPC code in 3 different spots. And
yeah, right. You just don't. So it's definitely been a good addition to my software stack. So.
And with Inventory Falcon, is it tracking your profit and loss the way Inventory Lab did for us?
They're supposed to build that in. So when you're doing each item, you are putting in your buy cost in your sources. So they say they're building that database of information, and they should have that functionality rolled out sooner than later. So
I'm excited to use Inventory Falcon. I don't know that I'll get to it today. We're almost done with an Amazon shipment, but I definitely will get it done this week. And I've been using Seller Board. So I really encourage everybody, if you don't have any type of software to track your profit and loss, the one thing I like about Seller Board, and I got that after I had gotten deactivated from Amazon, and then I did get Amazon back. I added in Walmart. Seller Board for $20 a month tracks my eBay, my Amazon, and my Walmart. And I plug in my buy cost. So it gives me my breakdown of my profit, my loss. I've been really loving Seller Board. So if those of you are on a budget and don't want all the tools, you're not having Inventory Lab and Falcon, and and there's really nothing for eBay. So I love that Seller Board does cover eBay and does track those profit and losses. So consider that as a tool, and it's only $20 a month.
Yeah, for Walmart, I'm starting to use Seller Board. Like I've got 2 items right now where I noticed that, I should have been profitable, but I wasn't. And when I looked at the WFS fees, they're, significantly higher than they should have been. So now I know by looking at Seller Board and seeing that profitability by SKU, here's a couple things I need to put in cases for and try to get those WFS fees corrected and get reimbursed for those.
That's very good. So what other good experiences have you had so far with the new Pioneer Bundle?
I would say Inventory Falcon has probably been most of my attention. I've done a little bit of sourcing with MOA. That shows promise. They need to add some more features to it, but it's, I'm glad it's there. The Histomart, sometimes there's data there, sometimes it's not. So
Yeah, Histomart hasn't wowed me at all. I've used Histomart several times, and now I've just been ignoring it. I'm like, okay, once they make Histomart good, then at least I have the tool, right? I got the bundle, so I have access to it. So that when the day comes that Histomart is good, I will be using that feature. That so far is unimpressive. So
yeah, and they've got to build the data, right? They got to start somewhere, and they can't go back and pull 2-3 years of data to see it all. They've got to start building it from some date, and then it moves forward. So
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, I think most of my attention, I had Martyr before, so that was no big change for me.
Yeah.
But basically the addition of Inventory Falcon was the
And
big
for the MOA, have you been playing with that?
A little bit. Yeah.
So I've been playing with MOA. I really do like it. It works like what was the software everybody used for tactical arbitrage? It's like a tactical arbitrage, if you will, for Walmart on a very dialed down scale, but same idea. And now they do have a lot more stores available. So I was really excited to jump in and go to these other websites. So I played with it for 3 days in a row for a few hours. Like I really wanted to dive in to using it. What I figured out the one day that I was blowing you up with, like, what do you think of this? What do you think of it? Because that's the first day I was like really playing with it. I noticed that the data is not up to date. So some of the items that it was spitting back to me are no longer for sale. And I think I was on Sam's Club that day. I was looking at Sam's Club. And so they were like showing coffee pictures that are really only sold during Christmas time at Sam's. And that data was coming up, and that you could get it at Sam's Club for this much, and it sells on Amazon for that. Well, you can't get it at Sam's anymore. You haven't been able to get it there for some time. Then there are current things at Sam's Club that should be showing up on the MOA search results, but they're not there. So you had pointed out that you believe that there's got to be a lag time of how current they are. So I wish it was in real time.
Yeah, definitely live prices don't match a lot, I think. They may say the buy cost is $15, and I'm seeing the buy cost is $20, for instance.
Yes. So it is definitely old data. So I don't know how often they refresh that. How often are they going to refresh that? I would like to see that get better, but there are some things that were on there that, let's say it is, I don't know, toilet paper. It's always been sold there. It's not seasonal. They're always going to have it. The Amazon listing has been there for years. So some of that data is going to just always be so, right? But there's other data that I would like. So I still had to do some manual rabbit trails, sourcing different sites because of this issue. But overall, it was still good. It was, I was still getting good leads.
Yeah, I went to an odd site, like someplace I had never sourced before that was in that list. And I found some things. And so I bought a few things to test, and I actually sold something this week. I'm like, oh, okay. So, I think it is good to kind of at least get us started, branching out into some different websites and things. But I tend to use sourcing tools with a grain of salt. It's a starting point, right? And then
and they're new. Like they're the new kid on the block. And I don't expect them to start and be as great as Keepa or as great as Inventory Lab had become before they were sold out. But yeah, for what they are, for just beginning, I think it's great. And I'm definitely excited to try the Inventory Falcon. Nate had commented in the chat that he really loves it. Have you had any struggles with Inventory Falcon, Nate? I am curious about that.
Yeah. And I haven't played with Anna Seller yet as far as looking at spreadsheet uploads for wholesale. I haven't done any of that yet.
I haven't either. And I have a lot of wholesalers, so I really need to try that.
Yep. Yep. I think that'll be interesting, just to see how well that works compared to some other options. But overall for the price, for $50 or whatever it is, a little less with the coupon, it's a good deal at this point in time. So,
And Nate says he wished that we had Hy-Vee. Nate lives in the same city as me, so we always share in these same struggles. I never even heard of Hy-Vee before ever. So
there's some in Missouri, but I don't have any in my area.
yeah, like Ollie's. I'm sure Nate has been to an Ollie's when he used to live in Ohio. So I'm sure he's been to that store before, but yeah, we don't have any of that stuff. And Nate, you have to vouch for me because I'm always telling Heather, we don't have as good deals. We don't have the same thing.
One thing, this just popped into my head, Tina, but for those of you who do have the seller app through Walmart, and don't hate me if you don't have it, but
everybody should be able to have it. They sent a link out to everybody for you to be part of the beta, and I have that link. So if you don't have the Walmart app, I will give you the link to get it.
They have added the ability to do two things. One, you can scan in store with it now, and it's super fast. Two, you can list your items very quickly in the Seller Central app, as opposed to starting in Martyr and then clicking sell and then going into Seller Central. So there's another way to do that. And it's a little quicker than doing it through Martyr, in my opinion.
Well, and then if you're in the store, and I don't have my phone in front of me, but then if you're in the store and you're using your Walmart app and you add it into Seller Central, while you're still there at the store, you can see quickly if you are not allowed to sell it. So right. I do like that. And I like that now that I've had it on my phone, when I do get a merchant fulfill order, I get an alert on my phone, where before I would have to keep checking my email all the time to see if Walmart had sent me an email that I had sold something, which is how I knew something was wrong, because I'm almost all WFS. So when I got 4 sales come through really quickly, I thought, what the heck did I'm like, I don't really have hardly anything left. And when I saw what it was, I was like, oh no, I had just sent those in.
Yeah. There have been some glitches too lately. I've had a couple of products over the past month that everything was sent into WFS, and I was guarantee you on the one, I was zeroed out of merchant fulfilled inventory. The second item, I had never sold merchant fulfilled. I just bought it, sent it into WFS, and I was getting merchant fulfilled orders on those. So when my WFS inventory would run out, then all of a sudden I would get a merchant fulfilled order, even though I hadn't had inventory there, So fortunately, mine were things I could run out and get locally and just send them in, and I would just say bad words and move on with my day. But it's very frustrating with those glitches.
I have a high pricing error that I realized this morning of my item, and the active seller on Walmart is $1 less than me. Mm-hmm. I lowered mine down $1. So I'm going to see if that fixes a high pricing error, but sometimes it does not. Sometimes I cannot get these high pricing errors to go away in Walmart.
Yeah, you'll have to do a case like on that one. If other people are lower, higher than you,
open a case and show,
and do it. Yeah. I had one where I was priced less than Walmart. I was selling against Walmart, but my buy cost was so cheap I could be well under Walmart, and I was still getting high pricing errors until I got down as low as the Amazon price.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you want to share your screen, let's get into some of this online sourcing.
Yeah, I thought we'd for sourcing tip today, we'd just kind of get online and source a little bit. So I don't really have anything planned. So we're just gonna source live for a minute and see.
I like sourcing live organically without pre-planned. Sometimes that's when I find the best things. And And it's just fun. It's just fun to go down a rabbit trail. And for me, when I watch people do this, sometimes it leads me, oh, I never thought of looking at that before. And so it kind of motivates you again.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think, for me, it's taken me a little bit, but you get your head around how you want to source for Walmart compared to Amazon. And first initially when I started sourcing for Walmart, I'd really have to focus my brain in on, okay, I'm specifically going and looking for Walmart things,
Yeah.
or I'm sourcing for Amazon today. And now I've gotten to a place where I'm kind of
You can
always
hop
sourcing for
around.
both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking at everything for both. And
Yes.
so I blend tools and I blend things and, whatever. And in store, it's easy to do that because you've got an app and you can go back and forth between Amazon, Walmart, et cetera. But I thought I'd do just a little bit of OA sourcing for you guys today. So, really you can go to, any website. So when people say, where do you go source for Walmart or how, pretty much anywhere that you source for Amazon, you may just look at slightly different things. But for me, things that sell well on Walmart are things that are, that you are very typical, basic, boring products. It could be a grocery item. It could be a personal care item. It could be, a sporting, like a football. It could be something for the kitchen, etc. So, I kind of try to look at those kind of things. So I'll just start in the home category on this website and see what we find. Lots of options on this site, so I thought I would try it. We can go into kitchen and maybe look at, let's look at some utensils and gadgets, for instance. So if I've got my Walmart brain on and I'm sourcing, I would take something like, let's say there's this Pyrex mixing bowl set. So there's a number of things that I will do to see if it's a match on Walmart. One, I may, let me open it up. I can do a title search with it. This site actually has a UPC, which is nice.
That's nice. Yeah.
So if there's a UPC, the first thing I'm going to do, just because I'm inherently lazy, is copy that UPC and then right click and click on search for Martyr and then your Martyr will pull up and see if there's a match. So that's the most basic way that I do. You can also do a title search within Martyr. You can also do a title search on the Walmart website. So Martyr's not pulling anything up by that UPC. So I may not believe it. So I may copy it. And I can also do, a product name search in Martyr and see what it pulls up.
There you go.
Yeah. And then I don't know. This one looks like it's a little bit more of a match. This one looks closer. Okay. Now the price is $31.79 there and $31 here. So that's not going to be profitable, but that's how I would go through and look at that. So I would go through looking at, basic brands. Here's an Anchor Hawking set of 3. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't love to sell glass, but we can go see what we get. I like Martyr a lot as a Chrome extension for OA sourcing. I have a love-hate relationship with Martyr. If I'm doing RA sourcing in store, I find the app to be very slow and glitchy for me, so I don't love it, but I do use it in store to look at data and stuff too. So we could either copy paste or we can type in.
I've been being more meaningful in what I've been sourcing recently with as far as like political talk of people being laid off and tariffs and my thought process has been a lot of people may slow down on their frivolous spending out of fear, right? Fear of what is my money going to look like, fear of things. And I've been trying to gear a lot of my sourcing towards essentials. People are still going to have to eat, or they're still going to need, like even a kitchen appliance, baby things. I'm still going to need diapers. I'm still going to need a baby bottle. So I've been trying to think with this in mind.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that a lot. I think that it's going to be easier to sell some of those essentials right now as opposed to,
maybe some frivolous
items.
things. And then, we always have our audience of people that don't worry about that. They know that they have plenty of income despite economical changes. So you still have that audience to be able to sell to as well.
Yeah. So this isn't going to be profitable, but there's a couple things I want to point out here when I'm sourcing online. So first of all, we see on this one, we see that there's no WFS cost listed. First thing when I look up in Martyr, I'm looking for, are there weights and dimensions? And there are not on this listing. So that tells me that, that's why that WFS cost is not there. So you can click on this WFS cost link, enter dimensions and weight if you know them, and then estimate those WFS fees. And one of the ways I like to do that, and a lot of times in Martyr, there'll be a link up here to Amazon. But a lot of times I'll pull those from Amazon. It's an Amazon listing itself. So let's say that I don't know that we have an exact match there, but if there's an Amazon listing, I'll pull those weights and measures and pull those in when you're looking at those WFS costs. So that's a way that I do that. The other thing you want to look out for is, let's say this was a big, heavy item, and you look over and you see WFS costs of $3.45. Immediately look up and see if there's weights and dimensions, because probably those are either not there or incorrect, and that WFS cost is wrong. So you want to update those as you go. So just things to be cautious for. I think that's one of the things sourcing for Walmart is realize that there is a lot of data that is inaccurate in Walmart's system.
And I know you've had to point that out to me several times when I've thrown something your way, but you've now got my brain trained to do that because of those. Like, yes. And then like, oh yeah.
Yes. And boy, I'm just not finding a lot of good matches here. But so Cuisinart is a brand, like I'm restricted on Walmart. I can't, or on Amazon, but I can sell that brand on Walmart. So open up your brain a little bit to think about some brands that maybe you can't sell it on Amazon, but maybe you can on Walmart. And so that's another opportunity that we have. Let's go.
Historically, I used to have really good luck on Amazon with that OXO brand. I don't know if that brand is good on Walmart or not, but.
Right. So what do we want to see? Let's find something that's a good brand here. If we've got something.
And you can sort brands here on the side possibly too.
Yeah, you can. Here's one. We'll look at this guy. Learning resources. We'll look by title this time. Veggie Farm at Spring. I think kids would like that. And there it is. So it's more on Belk than it is on Walmart, but it is there. I just want to open it and see if there's an Amazon link as well, because I do like to, okay, so this one sells on Amazon too. So this is profitable, but I do like to compare. If I'm looking at it for Walmart, I often open up this Amazon listing as well, so that I can see, differences. Is it profitable on that site? I can't sell it on this site at all. So I'm gated. So, it doesn't matter in this case, but just kind of think through those things. Can I sell it on both platforms if I'm sourcing? So start getting your brain looking at, what does it look like on Walmart? What does it look like on Amazon? Do I want to buy this for both platforms or the other, right? Because I could be sourcing for Walmart, and I could pull it up on Amazon, and it's a better profit there. But typically, if you see, the Amazon price is $27.99 and you see the Walmart price is $27.99, all things being equal, your profit is going to be higher on Walmart because the fee structure is lower. So
that's a good tip too.
Yeah. So, that's just a couple little things that I do, but basically go back to, one thing is you don't need fancy tools to source, and you don't even need Martyr, right? You can copy this and you can go to Walmart's site, do a title search, and you can manually source that way. So you don't have to have a paid tool at all to see. If I were looking this on Walmart, I would open it up and I don't have Martyr and don't have that data.
The hard part is needing a calculator.
Yeah, that's true. But get familiar with those fees in your Walmart Seller Central
Mhm.
section, and just kind of get to know that. But you can look at it here. You can see reviews. You can see if there's Walmart bestseller badges and things like that. So don't let the fact that there's no Nepetto, no tactical arbitrage, no fancy tools to source with. I mean, there is MOA, that's still in its early stages. Don't feel like you have to have those things to source for Walmart. You can source
Does
manually.
MOA offer Belk? Is that one of their stores?
Say that again, Tina.
Does MOA offer Belk as one of the stores that they scrub?
Let's see. They might. It might be in there. So now there's a retailer to Walmart. If you haven't played with MOA, there's Amazon to Walmart flips, Walmart to Walmart flips, and retailers to Walmart. So we can go in there and we can filter suppliers, and there's all of these brands that are in there. So Belk is there. So we can go look at that for a
Yeah,
second.
so since we're on Belk, yeah, we can.
But there's scrolling through, there's just a long list of different stores that they have set up right now to source with MOA. So that's really great. There's lots of great things to look at there to get started. And so if we go into Belk, we can just take a look at that real quick. I like to, let's just filter some things out. Let's put a minimum 30% ROI in. And let's say I want to make a minimum of at least $2 an item. And then you've got a list of things. Now we could also exclude some categories. So I'm not in love with clothing and shoes. So especially for Walmart. So I might go down and say, okay, let's look at home and kitchen and dining. And let's look at some pet stuff and maybe some toys. And then
that helps filter off a lot of overwhelm too.
Yes. So then you can go through and you can see your ROI and your profit that's projected, and then see what you want to look at. We can find something.
Oh, it only gave one page.
Yeah. So there's not a lot here. So
there's not a lot. And see, to me, that shows what I was stating before when I was at Sam's Club. Some of the data I think is old and it's definitely not up to date. See, this is a Christmas item.
Right. And this one's currently out of stock, right? So,
correct.
Yeah.
And that's why I say they definitely need to do better at having things current. But they're certainly going to have, like, if you go to a different site than Belk, a site that has a lot of things that they always have.
Right. So we could do the same thing. Let's go.
Like Ace Hardware up there. I've never sourced Ace Hardware, but I would think a store like Ace Hardware would always have those same hammers and.
Yeah, let's look at Ace Hardware and let's change our categories because we're probably, let's go look at some. Well, we'll leave kitchen and dining. We can leave pet. Let's add in some tools and home improvement and patio and lawn and some of those kind of things, and we can see that. So now we're getting
categories I caught. I'm sorry to interrupt you. One of the categories, how you were choosing toys, pet, one of them said R brands. What is R brands? Is that store brand? I never noticed that before until just now. It's down to, oh, look, R brands.
I don't know.
That makes me think that, you know how Walmart has great value. Does it mean per store? I'm curious what R brands mean.
After we're done here, we'll look at Walmart and see. But is that, I don't know that I care because you can't source those for Walmart. So
yeah, I hear.
Yeah, I don't know why they would have that, but maybe we just don't know what it is. So let's see what we've got. What do we want to look at? Let's look at.
And when you're scanning, what is it you're scanning initially? Are you just going for photo matches, or are you looking at the profit at the end of the row? Where does your eye go when you're trying to decide what you're going to look at?
For this one, I'm actually looking at the products. Is it the kind of thing I want to sell? Like, I don't want to sell an axe.
And you're not wanting to sell breakables like that plate and that flower pot.
Yeah, I don't want to ship a heavy clay pot.
Okay.
Doesn't interest me. We could look at this one, an enamel plate. So we got some camping plates. That one,
And you
again,
see it's unavailable. And this was some of the frustrations I was having with MOA, but it wasn't for everything.
yeah. But yeah, initially when I'm really looking at, is it the kind of product I want to sell? Because
Okay.
I've already got the profit and ROI filtered out. So I'm going to assume that's there. If I saw something that I wanted, so here we've got a pot holder, right?
Mhm.
If I see this, I may or may not look at the Amazon BSR and see,
Mhm.
yeah, that's pretty high. I may or may not look at the Keepa chart. I think that's an ugly Keepa chart, but it may not matter to me either, because just because something doesn't sell well on Amazon doesn't mean it won't sell well on Walmart
Walmart,
either.
that's true.
So again, same thing, unavailable, but let's pretend it was. I would look at this and say, okay, that's a pack of 6. So definitely watch for quantity mismatches. So that wouldn't be profitable at all. If it was, let's just pretend it was profitable. I would look at, are there reviews? No. What does it sell for on Amazon? I kind of also look to see, if Amazon is selling something for $10 and Walmart it's 35 and it really is a match, I know I may face some pricing issues with getting unpublished. So I want to be cautious of that. I'd come down here and I'd look for verified reviews, etc. So this doesn't look exciting to me at all in any way, even if it was
And if
profitable.
it were there and good, yes.
So, but those are kind of some of the things I do look at. Like here I see a mismatch right away. This one, we could see what this is. I
I
don't know.
used to play with those when I was a kid.
Okay. So
I would buy that if I was in the store just because I want to relive those things were addicting.
okay, so this one is $6.99 by cost if we don't have any discounts. So, it's a little lower ROI and profit than I would like to deal with, but
But that's an easy thing to throw in a box. I don't mind buying some super low ROI. I also avoid them. But if I'm just trying to get a bigger shipment, and if this is something that sells through quickly, that's going to be simple to label and just throw in. And I call them box fillers, right? Because they're small.
So a few things I would look at. So see how Amazon's at $13.99, Walmart's $14.99. We're pretty close in price, so I like that. I can get a little more money for it on Walmart, but it's not so far out of range. Only sells 5 a month on Amazon, theoretically. Take all the data with a grain of salt. It shows as out of stock on Walmart. So the first thing I want to go down is actually make sure there's no sellers. If you see that there's sellers in this seller list right now, but it shows out of stock on Walmart, it's probably because everybody's unpublished because of price. So I would walk away from that. In this case, there are no sellers. So you have the opportunity to come in and buy this one. And instead of pricing it at $14.99, I'd price it higher because I would be the only seller and I would see what I could get from a pricing standpoint without being unpublished.
Mm-hmm.
So, because if I could sell it for, let's say, $15.99, then, it's a little bit better.
$3 mark. Yeah.
I'd rather see, price history. If we look at that a little farther out, it's been down to $12.99.
And looks as high as 15 almost there.
Yeah, we don't really show anything on offer count history. So there were some sellers late last year, but not now. So those are some of the things I would look at if I were deciding if I was going to buy this.
And Price Genie was on it in October.
Right, for $14.99. So, it'd be okay. If I were going to buy this, I might buy 3 and test it and see from there. So let's see what else there is.
My husband would want to look at that truck. Everything with him is an RC. If it's an RC and it drives, he's interested.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely everything is out of stock, it seems like.
Yeah, and that's where I started getting very frustrated using MOA.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And you can use it to, rabbit trail from there for sure. But this is one where it looks like 6 decks, a 12-pack. I don't know that that's a match from a. I can't tell if you get that whole thing for two. It's out of stock, so we can't tell. But I'd make sure that it's not $259 for 1 pack instead of $259 for 12.
For the entire box, yeah.
But if you could get that for $259, that would be a great profit. We could plug that in and pretend that it is in stock.
And you would double your money.
You would double your money. So I would do that if the sales were there. There's some reviews. It doesn't really sell well on Amazon, so I don't know. I'd probably want to look at that Keepa chart and see what we thought. Not a lot of change on offer count. We got a couple sellers.
Now, how often are you, like, if you're finding a lot of things from Ace that you know are kind of exclusive to Ace and you keep seeing the same seller down there, Charlie's Little Company, do you then look through Charlie's Little Company store to see what else does Charlie have?
So, and that's where with MOA, that's what you should do, right? So if you're frustrated because this is out of stock, that's out of stock, and you get bored with that really quick, go, okay, I'm going to go shop Charlie's store and see what he's got and compare that to, then I'd pull up the Ace Hardware website on the side and kind of go back and forth and see
like what else does he have that's from Ace Hardware that we can still
get. He's got several of these little Regal game things. So we could go to Ace Hardware and we could put in, I can't type.
Sometimes when I'm searching a particular site, especially something more niche down like Victoria's Secret, body spray or something, and I keep seeing the same seller on the listing, I'm like, well, they're clearly getting all of this at Victoria's Secret too. Or if they're selling great value, well, I know that that's Walmart, and well, let me see what other great value. I know we can't do great value on Walmart, but I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah. Yeah, I would dig into that a little bit, but you could definitely rabbit trail in that way. What else is Charlie selling? He's got a lot of that Regal stuff, so maybe he's getting it from Ace Hardware. Maybe he
has an account with Fire or with Regal themselves. And see, this is how my brain works. Then I go down rabbit trails. Then I try to see, oh, well, if all this Regal stuff looks good and I see he's selling a ton of it a month, then I start looking at Regal, their actual website, and going down to the bottom of their website. Do they sell it wholesale? I tend to really go the extra mile on my rabbit trails, which is how I've ended up with so many wholesale accounts. But there are so many different sourcing methods and so many ways to get inventory. Some people don't ever do that. They just buy it at the store if it's on sale or clearance, and that's it. And they've built a business model around that and make a living doing things that way.
Yeah, this says Charlie is the preferred e-commerce provider for Regal Games. So that makes sense. He's really got that stuff, and that's what he's doing. But a lot of times, like, especially doing like RA, I know I was at a certain store and I was shopping clearance and caps, and after my third product and that same store was on that listing, I took a picture of that name, and then when I got home, I went home and storefront stocked based on that store, just to, they're obviously shopping at that store. So what else can I find there? Because that's a place I regularly shop. So yeah. That is how I would do things. Here's a Culligan thing. So this is a really deep discount. Again, it's out of stock.
Mm-hmm.
So, but for $17.99, that's probably a really good one. So yeah, that would be a good.
That would have been a great buy had you found that when it was on sale. A long time ago, I used to source quite a bit at Ace. I used to get some really good stuff there. I did find something on Ace, and I think I had shared it with you. And I found it through MOA, and it currently was in stock at Ace and on Walmart, and it did have a good profit. So there are still some things through MOA that are on these sites. I do hope to see them get a little bit, as they work out their bugs, and now that they've sold a lot of the Pioneer bundle and have some funds in their pocket, I do hope that they're reinvesting it back into their softwares.
Yeah, this one, if it's a match, so the way I would look at this one's great. So it sells well on Amazon, same price as Walmart. Walmart is selling on it, but they've only got 55. So this is one that I would probably buy all that I could buy. Plenty of verified reviews. And then
Yeah.
I would buy all that I could buy, and I would split it between the two platforms.
And since it's not in stock at Ace, my next step
Right.
would be to copy that UPC or even the title of it and just try to find it on Google. And I believe Martyr even has a Google link built into Martyr because I use that quite a bit as well.
Yeah.
And then I try to see, well, is it anywhere else on sale? If Ace had it once, marked down, can I still get it somewhere else?
Yeah. Yeah. I would definitely go to Google and do that.
Mm-hmm.
Not seeing that same price for
I
that.
think this is the first week we didn't find something live that was a good flip, a really good flip.
Yeah, this one would be awesome. Like, if anything, we saw this one. If it was in stock, I would have bought the heck out of this. And
Well, and if you have Ace stores near you, they may have it in store, even though online it says they don't.
yeah, it is possible. I've sourced from Ace a decent amount, but I can't. They don't like to ship to me online anymore, so I'm on their bad side. So yeah, that's a little bit of MOA and some of the strengths and weaknesses of it. And again, I would utilize this a lot, but know that you're going to have to rabbit trail, right?
Yeah.
So
Can you entertain me and open up that thing that's in the yellow patch? So you got the colorful bowls below that,
this
That
one,
looks like something that would be an Ace Hardware item that they would always have.
yeah,
See, and unavailable. So that's why I thought just entertain me and let's pick something that they probably always have
right,
year round.
yeah. The profit looks good on that one.
And for those of you that are watching that have been using the MOA tool since you've gotten the Pioneer bundle, are you running into this as well with the things not being current?
Yeah.
And I'm curious if it's some sites versus other sites, because they really just recently put all these other sites. I think the Walmart to Walmart is probably the best one. It seems to be pretty current, but since they've added in the new ones, it has been really hit or miss.
Yeah, we can go. Let me get back here. Let's go. If I'm doing Amazon to Walmart, I have liked just using the Keep a Deals page and doing that a little bit better than MOA, but I haven't done a ton of that. So this is Walmart to Walmart.
Looks very different.
It does look very different.
Mm-hmm. I've looked at this a few times as well.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't done that as much with MOA.
And I don't know why the data comes through like this for Walmart versus how it is from Ace to Walmart.
Yeah.
Why don't we have the rows and what the profit would be? And I don't understand this page quite yet.
Yeah, I guess I haven't played with this one very much. I don't know. I've got to figure this one out because it doesn't
I
look
haven't played with it enough either because I'm like, oh, this is different. And
right.
It really lets you know their price drops. So these could be good things that I know it could be Walmart to Walmart, but like, what about if it is, maybe you could flip it back to Amazon?
Yeah, let's say if it's a minimum of 50% price drop. And I guess maybe that's what they're trying to do is look like Keep a Deals, but so
and potato chips. Yeah, and if any of you have not even got MOA yet, now you'll know what it looks like.
All right, here's an Easter gummy cluster. All right, how do I get this one? I
think you click on where it says full data. Oh, or that.
I did that on the last one. It was taking me to Histamart. Okay. So.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I guess you just click on the item ID and then it takes you right into Walmart and you've got Martyr. So I guess that's how you have to do it. So this one, we can see a lot of offer count history. So people are ramping up for Easter. I'm surprised there's not more seller fulfilled offers at a higher price, but
yeah.
They're probably charging, I would think they're charging shipping on top of that $5.99, but that's how you could do that. Interesting. So yeah, so that's just a little bit of sourcing. If anybody's interested, I'm doing Nate Jackson's sourcing camp. I'm going to be one of his camp counselors in the next 2 weeks. So I'm doing not one, but 2 sessions on sourcing for Walmart. So I'm going to do the first one I'm going to do is going to be like some of the basics, like the ABCs of Walmart sourcing. And then my second one, I'm really going to get into Amazon and Walmart together and mixing in some of the tools that I use, like quick finds and tactical arbitrage and Nepeto and things like that. So if anybody is interested, there is a link to the sourcing camp in the show notes. So look forward to seeing you there if you want to learn a little bit more about Walmart sourcing. I'm doing 2 Walmart sessions. Tracy Shelley is also a camp counselor, and she's doing a couple of Walmart sessions as well. So I think Walmart will be well represented. There's just a ton of other great people in that sourcing camp. Chris Beam is doing tactical arbitrage. If you are new to the 365 bundle with Inventory Lab and want to inventory or tactical arbitrage refresher or learn a little bit more about that, she's a master at that. Steve French is in there talking about his large RA business and how he manages it. There's just a bunch of great people in there. So if you're wanting to refresh your sourcing skills or deepen your Walmart sourcing skills, give that a consideration. So
Now, are you guys wearing camp counselor hats and eating s'mores online while you do it? That would be fun to get. I want the full effect.
I've got a sourcing camp coffee mug. That's about as much as I can do. So
Very nice. All right, you guys, thank you for hanging out with us today. If you're watching this on the replay, leave comments below of anything you would want us to cover with Walmart or with these tools. If there's anything that Heather and I can help you with, also in the show notes, Heather does do private one-on-one coaching. I have a link to her coaching. She is much more of an expert in Walmart than I am. However, I'm here to help learn and help address these issues on our Walmart Wednesday shows. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us.
thanks, everybody.